Welcome back on the program. It's still Good Morning Abuja, and we bring you very interesting people to talk to, so as to keep us educated and informed on activities and happenings around the capital city. And this morning, we have in our studio Comfort Ogunmola. She is the director of the National Orientation Agency here in the FCT, and it's our pleasure to have her. You're welcome on the program, ma.
Thank you for having me.
All right, ma. So today our discussion is centered around, of course, the general elections is around the corner, and to be part of that, to be able to participate in that election means you need to have the permanent voters card.
Sure.
So the problem we are facing now is that INEC says there's a huge amount of these cards that has not been collected, over 20 million. Why are people not going for this card? Why are they not going to collect their card? And your agency particularly is tasked with the responsibility of at least keeping people informed on the need to prepare themselves to be able to vote. So let's look at your agency's role in informing people. What have you been doing?
Okay, thank you so much. Of a truth, I want to begin by saying again and again, because we cannot overemphasize the role of the National Orientation Agency. The National Orientation Agency is an agency of government who propagates, promotes, and ensure that we sensitize, we enlighten, we mobilize the citizenry on government policies, programs, and activities. And that way you would agree with me that the National Orientation Agency has her fingers in every pie.
Yes.
And in fact, I usually say that we are a bride to every groom, if I may use the word groom in this sense, because everything that is of national interest is within the purview of the National Orientation Agency. Talk of elections like we are discussing today, talk of census that is coming up in April, talk of the even the current CBN redesigned notes of the Naira notes, the national currency. Talk of the humanitarian affairs, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs on the programs like GIB, like the National Homegrown
School Feeding Program.
And
yes.
On goes the list, almost endless. However, coming back home to the issue on hand today, the PVC collection. The National Orientation has not left any stone unturned. We've been going around the FCT. We have 6 area councils, and we have covered the whole of the FCT with sensitization programs. In fact, not even without taking the INEC, the umpire, along, because when we sensitize and there are questions, we answer to the best of our knowledge as partners. Yes. But we also bring in the INEC reps, like the EOs, that's the electoral officers of the various area councils, to also answer the people's questions, such that women, like the technical aspects especially, and they have been doing that. But when you ask why we still have so many, of course, you know as much as I do that Nigerians have this attitude of leaving things to the last minute. Nigerians have this attitude of apathy. Some would even tell you, I beg, let them go, let them carry on, just being nonchalant and all that. But we have continued to say that we have our destiny in our hands and we must take it, because if we do not, we'll continue to suffer the same fate that we have been complaining about, because no one will do for us what we have to do for ourselves.
That's very true.
Good.
Now, beyond, like you said, when you go out, you answer some questions, and sometimes you even take along the members of the Independent National Electoral Commission alongside on some of those your sensitization campaigns. And now let's relive some of your experiences. Usually, when you go to this area councils to sensitize people on the need to either register to be voted or now to go collect the card they've even registered for.
Yeah.
What are some of the likely questions you encounter? What are some of the challenges that the people give back to you as being responsible for them not being able to collect their cards?
There are so many questions, some of which, as they come to mind, I bring up. Some people ask questions about the, we now have the beavers.
The beavers machine, yes.
Which the the INEC has come up with, and which, honestly, going by the experience of, because we have had the area council elections yes, with some challenges, which we also fed the INEC back with. In fact, they were also on the field themselves, though. So our own feedback was just in addition to what they also saw themselves on the field. That some, during the elections, were not able to have their thumbprints recognized and all that. All of those, such questions we came across, which INEC has also worked on and assured us that, with the subsequent elections in Osun and Ekiti, that they didn't reoccur to show that, yes, they've been addressed. Those challenges have been addressed. Those challenges have been addressed, and they have also given us the assurance, even so much the more, that with the coming general elections, that the beavers, they have, one, increased the numbers. They have also ensured that the ones that are going to be used are functional and all of that. So these are some of the questions. But apart from the issue of beavers or no beavers, there have been issues of transfer, issues of, registration, as in transfer from former voting places and all that. Maybe for people who
have moved
from one location to another. They have questions such as not being able to really get the transfer effected. Some have actually, in fact, I have testimony to the effect that some have also had theirs successfully, transferred and all. But of course, you would agree that when it comes to public affairs, we cannot all have everything equally sorted.
That's true. Yes. So amazing. Now, the National Orientation Agency, you've been doing a lot. You have jingles even on television and radio going, sensitizing people on so many things. Yes. And of course, reawakening the feeling of nationalism in the minds of the citizenry. Yeah. However, there are still challenges. Yes, there are so many challenges. Now, I want us to look at the NOA particularly now, and as it relates to this election. What would you, in your opinion, say you need to further make your job, make this sensitization more effective? Because right now, we know that there's been an extension on the date for the collection of the PVC. And some of the feedbacks we have gotten here relates to the fact that people say, I don't know where to get my PVC. I don't know how to locate the center to get my PVC and all of that. I'm sure you encounter some of these questions as well.
Yes.
Now, carrying the INEC along, what are the challenges? What do you think you need to do more, especially at this time that we're in?
It was quite a welcome development and idea when just this morning I learned that INEC has graciously given an extension to the PVC collection by, say, 1 week or so. But I tell you, just like I said earlier on, we have not stopped, and we would not stop to tell people that it may not happen the same way with everybody, but giving up is not an option either. We told them how that INEC said they were going to start issuing these PVCs at the local government level, as in headquarters. But realizing that we have people who might not be able to easily reach the local government headquarters, they also said from the 6th to the 15th of this month, January, that they were going to move the collection to the ward level. At ward level, for God's sake, short of going to people's houses, I think INEC has done well enough to bring the collection location to the ward level. And so we have also not failed to educate and enlighten and sensitize the citizenry about this development, that if they cannot get to the and by the way, in FCT, because of its peculiarity, the headquarters for the AMAC is in Karu, which might not be easily accessible, and so they brought it to the INEC office at the AMAC secretariat here. But even when that might not suffice, taking the PVCs to the ward levels, sorted, has been working for those who would avail themselves. Mind you, I said before too that Nigerians have this attitude of, let them
yes,
do it when it is
rush hour.
When it is 2 days to the deadline, you see everybody. So, but now that they have even the INEC has graciously, like I said, extended it, we just pray and hope that people will take advantage of this extension and stop complaining as if, you know, government has to put the food in their mouth as per. If government has done its part by producing these cards, it shouldn't be too much for people to
exactly. Now, one final question. The NOA in FCT, taking the peculiarities of the Federal Capital Territory, I think they said Nigeria has a large ethnic population, people from different tribes and ethnic groups, and almost all of them is represented here in the FCT. That's so right. The mode of delivery of your sensitization, do you take into cognizance the different language peculiarities of the Abuja indigenous people?
Say no more. Because the NOA, by our constitution, no one can beat the rich, in the sense that we have our offices act, we have the national headquarters, and even though FCT is not a state, we have a state office that's where I'm manning by the grace of God. And then we have the 774 local governments. And most of the staffers, most I said, not necessarily every, but most, are indigenous to their various localities, such that we are able to reach out to the people in the language they can understand, in the various languages. Even the jingles that we produce in different, of course we may not be able to represent every language, but the major ones that everybody can, you know, at least identify with, relate with: English, Pidgin, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, and, you know, like that. So as for reaching out to the people, I mean, no one can take that from. In fact, if you have listened to the various jingles on the Naira redesign, you will agree with me that that has been taken care of, such that, except those who are not ready to listen, because no matter how hard you try, those whose minds are made up would still insist on not yielding.
Unfortunately, we are running out of time, and we have to bring this interview segment to a close. But I've been speaking with our own director of the NOA here in the FCT, that is the person of Comfort Ogumola. It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
And you heard what she said. The PVCs are out there. If you registered for them, it's only logical that you go get them so that you can be part of these forthcoming elections. And of course, the NOA is doing wonderfully well in bringing you information and sensitization that will help you be a better citizen of